I never thought I'd be standing outside Atlantic Records while my former bandmates signed the deal that should have been mine, too. The security guard gave me a sympathetic nod as I waited in the rain. 3 years of writing every song, arranging every melody, only to have them kick me out when success was finally within reach. Creative differences, they said. But I knew the truth when I heard our demo playing through the conference room door. My vocals stripped away, my name erased from the credits. I'd quit music altogether after that betrayal. Couldn't even look at my guitar without feeling sick. What they didn't know was that I'd kept something they desperately needed. Proof that would destroy everything they'd built on my back. And as I walked into that building, phone in hand, I knew their perfect moment was about to implode. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, the songwriting capital of America. Music wasn't just a hobby in our household, it was the family business. My mom, Elaine, was a session vocalist who'd sung backup for everyone from Dolly Parton to Keith Urban. Dad left when I was 4, pursuing his own musical dreams in California. He never made it big, but his absence created this mythical figure I was somehow always competing with. Mom worked double shifts at a diner to pay for my first real guitar when I was 11. I still remember the smell of that pawn shop, the way the Gibson felt almost alive in my hands. "You've got something special, Melody," she'd say, listening to me practice until my fingertips bled. "Don't you dare waste it like your daddy did." My younger brother, Travis, resented the attention my music got. He'd accidentally break my guitar strings or delete recordings from my computer. When I was 16, he invited his friends over while Mom was working a late shift. I'd been working on a song for weeks, had finally perfected it and recorded a rough demo. Travis found it and played it for everyone, laughing as they mocked my heartfelt lyrics about first love. "Listen to little Taylor Swift here," he sneered. I ran to my room, humiliated, while they cranked it up louder. Despite everything, music remained my sanctuary. By 22, I was playing regular gigs at the Bluebird Cafe, one of Nashville's iconic songwriter venues. That's where I met them. Cassie on drums, Jake on bass, and Riley on lead guitar. We clicked immediately, forming the Heartbreak Kids. For the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. We struggled for 3 years, playing dive bars and wedding gigs, living on ramen and dreams. I wrote song after song, pouring my soul onto paper, crafting melodies that told our collective story. We recorded demos in my apartment bathroom because the acoustics were decent. Mom would listen to every rough cut, her eyes shining with pride. "This is it, baby. You're gonna make it bigger than your daddy ever could." When my 27th birthday rolled around, Mom surprised me with a grand gesture. She'd taken out a second mortgage on her house to fund our first professional EP. 6 songs, professionally recorded at a real studio. I protested, but she wouldn't hear it. "This is your shot," she insisted. "Don't you dare waste it." What the band didn't know was that I'd been secretly sending our demos to every label in the country. I didn't tell them because I couldn't bear the collective disappointment of each rejection. But I kept trying, kept believing. The secret weight of those rejections was mine alone to bear. Until one day, when everything changed. It happened last spring, during our weekly band practice in Riley's garage. I was running late after helping Mom with some errands. When I arrived, they were huddled together, whispering. They stopped abruptly when I walked in. "What's going on?" I asked, unpacking my guitar. Riley cleared his throat. "Nothing, just talking about maybe changing our sound a bit." I could feel something was off, but we had a gig that weekend, so I let it slide. Over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle shifts in our dynamic. They'd schedule rehearsals without telling me until the last minute. They'd go for drinks after shows and forget to invite me. Cassie, who had been my closest friend in the band, suddenly became distant, always checking her phone during our conversations. One evening, after a particularly good set at the 5 Spot in East Nashville, a man in a sleek suit approached us. He handed Riley his business card. "Mark Wilson, A&R representative from Atlantic Records." "I like what I'm hearing," he said. "Send me your demos, all of them." The excitement was electric. This was it, the break we'd been working towards. I hugged everyone, tears in my eyes. We celebrated until 3 a.m., making plans, dreaming big. Mom was ecstatic when I called her. "See, I told you, baby, this is your time." I spent the next week polishing our demos, selecting the strongest 6 tracks for the EP that Mom had funded. We'd recorded them professionally, but I wanted to make a few tweaks to my vocals. I called Riley to ask for the master files. "Actually," he hesitated, "we already sent everything to Mark." "Without me? Those were rough cuts, Riley. My vocals weren't finalized." Mark loved them as they were, said they had authenticity. Something felt wrong, but I pushed the feeling aside. This was our shot. I couldn't mess it up with paranoia. 2 days later, Mom invited everyone over for a celebration dinner. She'd prepared her famous Nashville hot chicken, cornbread, and all the fixings. She'd even splurged on champagne. "To the Heartbreak Kids," she toasted, "and especially to my baby girl, whose songs are going to change the world." I noticed the uncomfortable glances between my bandmates. Cassie couldn't meet my eyes. Jake kept checking his watch. After dinner, Riley pulled me aside on the porch. "We need to talk." "What's up?" I asked, still riding the high of possibility. "The label loves our sound, but—" He paused, looking back at Cassie and Jake for support. "They think we should go in a different direction with the songwriting." "What does that mean?" "They want us to work with their in-house writers, professional stuff." I felt like I'd been punched. But I'm the songwriter. That's my role. My songs are what got us noticed. "Look, this is a huge opportunity. Sometimes we have to compromise." "Compromise on what exactly? Those are my songs, Riley. I wrote every word, every note." "Actually," Cassie interjected, stepping onto the porch, "we all contributed. The arrangements, the vibe, that's a group effort." "But the core compositions are mine," I insisted, my voice rising. Mom appeared in the doorway, her smile fading as she sensed the tension. Riley took a deep breath. "The label thinks your vocals are limiting. They want Jake to take lead on most tracks." Jake had never sung lead on anything. He could barely carry a tune. "This is bullshit," I said, tears threatening. "You're trying to push me out." "Not push you out," Riley said carefully. "Just redefine your role." "My role? I built this band. Those songs came from my life." The argument escalated. Words were thrown like knives. Accusations, justifications. Mom tried to mediate, but the damage was done. Through the chaos, my phone buzzed. An email from Mark Wilson, clearly meant for Riley, but accidentally including me. "The demos sound better without her vocals. Good call on the edits. Let's discuss moving forward at tomorrow's meeting." My blood ran cold. They had re-recorded my songs without me. "You've been going to the studio behind my back?" I whispered, showing them the email. "How long has this been happening?" Their silence was confession enough. "Get out," Mom said, her voice steel. "All of you, now." After they left, I collapsed into her arms, sobbing. Everything I'd built, everything I'd believed in, had just imploded. Mom stroked my hair like she had when I was small. "They can't take what's yours, baby. Not if you fight." But I was tired of fighting. The next morning, I called Riley and officially quit the band. I deleted all my social media accounts, packed away my guitars, and swore off music completely. The betrayal was too deep, the wound too raw. What they didn't know was that I had all the original demo recordings, time-stamped, dated, with my handwritten lyrics and notes, proof of my authorship. I'd never needed it before because I trusted them. What a joke that seemed now. For months, I drifted, working at a coffee shop, avoiding anything that reminded me of my former life. Until last week, when Mom called, her voice shaking. "They're signing with Atlantic this Friday. It's all over social media." Friday morning arrived with a thunderstorm that matched my mood. I stood outside Atlantic Records' Nashville office, drenched despite my umbrella, watching through the glass as champagne was poured and cameras flashed. My former band, now calling themselves Midnight Revival, gathered around a conference table with executives in expensive suits. They looked different now. Styled hair, designer clothes, practiced smiles. I almost turned around, almost walked away. Then I saw the promotional poster on an easel, their faces, my songs, and not a single credit to my name. The security guard recognized me from our showcase performances months earlier. "Aren't you supposed to be in there?" he asked. "I used to think so," I replied, showing him my ID. "I just need to drop something off." He hesitated, then nodded me through. My heart hammered as I rode the elevator to the 14th floor. I clutched my phone, which contained every original demo, every voice note of me working through melodies, every text where they had praised my songwriting. I also carried a flash drive with the copyright registrations I'd filed last week, rushed through with the last of my savings. I paused outside the conference room, watching through the glass. Mark Wilson was speaking, gesturing enthusiastically. And these songs are exactly what we're looking for: authentic, emotional, commercially viable. Riley was beaming. Cassie and Jake looked like they'd won the lottery. On a large screen behind them, their new logo displayed prominently. Below it, the words "Debut Single, Heartbreak Highway, dropping next month." Heartbreak Highway, the song I'd written after my grandfather died, the one I'd cried through while recording in my bathroom at 3 a.m., my most personal work. I pushed open the door. The room fell silent. Cameras turned toward me. Riley's smile froze, then faded. Cassie had the decency to look ashamed. Jake just looked annoyed. "Sorry to interrupt," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "I'm Melody Carter." Mark Wilson stepped forward, confusion evident. "Miss Carter, this is a private event." "I know exactly what this is," I replied. "It's theft, professionally packaged." Murmurs rippled through the room. A PR woman moved toward me, but I held up my hand. "Before you sign anything," I continued, addressing the executives directly, "you should know that every song in that demo package was written by me. Every lyric, every melody. I have the original recordings, copyright registrations, and timestamps to prove it." Riley stepped forward. "Melody, don't do this. We can talk outside." "Like we talked when you re-recorded my songs behind my back, or when you erased my vocals without telling me?" I connected my phone to the room's Bluetooth speaker system. "Let's listen to the real demos, shall we?" Before anyone could stop me, my original recording of Heartbreak Highway filled the room. My raw, emotional vocals, the imperfect but authentic performance. I watched the executives' faces as recognition dawned. "The versions you heard have been altered," I explained, my voice breaking slightly. "My contributions erased. I built this band. I wrote these songs, and they pushed me out when success came knocking." Mark Wilson looked between me and the band, his expression hardening. "Is this true?" Riley started to object, but Cassie suddenly spoke up. "Yes," she said quietly, "the songs are melodies." The room erupted into chaos. Legal representatives huddled together, whispering urgently. Photographers snapped pictures. The PR team tried unsuccessfully to usher me out. I locked eyes with Riley one last time. "You could have just asked to use my songs. We could have worked something out, but you chose to steal instead." I turned to leave, dignity intact, when Mark Wilson called after me. "Miss Carter, wait. I think we need to talk." I paused at the doorway, looking back at the shambles of what should have been their triumph. "I'm done talking. My lawyer will be in touch." As I walked out, phone calls were already being made, the deal clearly in jeopardy. In the elevator down, my hands finally started shaking. I'd done it. I'd stood up for myself, for my art. Outside, the rain had stopped. The security guard gave me a subtle thumbs up as I passed. I walked away from Atlantic Records, not knowing what would happen next, but for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. The aftermath was immediate and intense. By that evening, music blogs were buzzing with headlines. Songwriting scandal rocks Nashville signing. Atlantic deal in jeopardy after copyright claims. My phone exploded with notifications. Former classmates, distant relatives, local musicians, all reaching out. I turned it off and went to Mom's house, where I curled up on the couch like I used to after bad days at school. "You did the right thing," she said, bringing me hot chocolate with the tiny marshmallows she still kept for me. "Your daddy never would have had the courage." The next morning, I woke to an email from Mark Wilson requesting a meeting, just him and me. Against Mom's advice, I agreed to meet him at a neutral location, a quiet cafe in East Nashville. "I've been in this business 20 years, he said, after we'd settled with our coffees. "I've seen some shady stuff, but this," he shook his head. "We had no idea." "Would it have mattered?" I asked, "if the songs were good enough?" He considered this, honestly. "Maybe not, but stealing is different from collaboration, and what they did crossed a line. We're not moving forward with them." I felt a hollow victory. "So the songs die too?" "That depends," he said, sliding a business card across the table, "on whether the actual songwriter wants to discuss options." I stared at the card. "I quit music." "Did you? Or did you just quit that band?" He stood to leave. "The songs are good, Miss Carter. Really good. Think about it." 3 days later, Cassie showed up at my apartment, eyes red from crying. We sat on my tiny balcony overlooking the Cumberland River. "I should have stopped it," she admitted. "When Riley first suggested re-recording without you, I knew it was wrong. But we were so close to making it." "That doesn't excuse it," I said. "No, it doesn't." She pulled out her phone and showed me text messages between her and Riley dating back months. Their plan had been forming longer than I'd realized. "I saved everything. If you need it for legal purposes, it's yours." "Why are you doing this?" "Because you were my friend before any of this, and because what we did was wrong." She hesitated. "Jake and Riley are threatening to sue me now for betraying them, but I had to make this right." After she left, I called a music attorney. The initial consultation stretched into 3 hours as we outlined a case for copyright infringement. With Cassie's evidence added to mine, it was airtight. Rather than dragging it through courts, Riley and Jake settled within weeks. The terms included full songwriting credits restored to me, a substantial financial settlement, and a public apology. They would never use my songs. Their career was effectively over before it began. The most unexpected turn came when my mom's sister, Aunt Patty, called from Austin. She'd seen the story and revealed something Mom had kept from me. She'd been sending my demos to her old college roommate, now an executive at Americana Records, a smaller but respected independent label in Austin. "They've been interested for months," Aunt Patty explained. "Your mom didn't want to tell you until you were ready to make music again." I confronted Mom, who admitted everything. "After what they did to you, I couldn't bear to see you give up on your gift, but it had to be your choice to come back to it." 2 weeks later, I found myself in Austin, sitting across from Beth Winters, the label executive. "We don't want the Heartbreak Kids songs," she explained. "We want the new material, the songs you'll write about what happened." "I haven't written anything since." "But you will," she said confidently. "Artists like you always do. Pain becomes art. That's the cycle." She was right. That night in my hotel room, I picked up a guitar for the first time in months. The songs poured out, angrier, more complex, more honest than anything I'd written before. I signed with Americana Records the next day. Mom used the settlement money to pay off her second mortgage and joined me in Austin for the recording sessions. The studio they provided was nothing fancy, but it felt like home. The EP, titled Midnight Thief in a not-so-subtle jab at my former band, was released digitally 6 months later. It debuted at number 7 on the iTunes singer-songwriter chart. Not a massive commercial success, but a critical darling. Rolling Stone called it a raw, unflinching document of betrayal and rebirth. Cassie reached out after hearing it. She'd moved back to her hometown in Georgia, teaching drum lessons at the local music store. "I deserved every lyric," she texted, "but I'm proud of you." The biggest surprise came during my first headlining show at the Continental Club in Austin. I was midway through my set when I spotted a familiar face in the crowd, Mark Wilson from Atlantic. He nodded respectfully when our eyes met, a silent acknowledgement that I'd found my path without them. After the show, he approached with a handshake, not a contract. "You were right to do it your way," he said. "Some artists need the machine. Others," he gestured to the crowd, still buzzing from the performance, "they find their people without it." Mom's grand gesture, the money she'd spent on the original EP, hadn't been wasted after all. Those recordings became evidence that saved my career. She framed the first check from Americana Records and hung it in her kitchen in Nashville. 6 months into touring, I received an unexpected email from a law firm representing Jake. He was filing for bankruptcy after failing to launch a solo career and wanted to know if I'd consider letting him record one of my older, unreleased songs. The perfect revenge would have been to refuse, but instead, I offered him a co-writing session. We weren't friends again, not even close, but music had been his dream too. Sometimes, healing comes from unexpected places. Riley, I heard, had moved to Los Angeles, trying to break into producing. I never responded to his apology email. Some bridges stay burned. As for me, I found my voice again. Stronger, clearer, and entirely my own. The songs that came from this journey became my first full-length album, Reclamation. It didn't go platinum, but it did go gold. Success on my own terms. It's been 18 months since I stood in that rain outside Atlantic Records. Sometimes I still dream about it, the fear, the rage, the vindication. But mostly, I think about the music that almost died that day, how close I came to giving up my voice. They say success is the best revenge, but I found it's really just being true to yourself when the world tries to silence you. My new tour kicks off next week. 20 cities, my name on the marquee, my songs unchanged and uncompromised. Mom's coming on the road with me this time. She says you wouldn't miss it for the world. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that your art belongs to you. Your voice matters. And sometimes, the detours lead to better destinations than you ever imagined. If you've ever had someone try to steal your light or silence your voice, know that your story isn't over. It's just finding its true beginning. If you liked my story, hit that subscribe button and follow along for more chapters in this journey. Drop a comment below if you've ever had to fight for what's rightfully yours. I read every single one. And remember, the songs that matter most are the ones that tell your truth, no matter who tries to rewrite it.